So I'm going to do a video here on internet browsers, and as you can see down here, I have quite a few, and there's more out there, but I test for some and use some others. So just to go left to right here on the ones that I have, there's the final release version, non-beta, non-alpha version of Chrome, Opera, Maxthon, Yandex, and then there's Opera Developer, which is sort of like the alpha version of Opera. There's the technical preview of Vivaldi. There's Firefox Nightly, and then there's Google Chrome Canary, which is the development version of Google Chrome. And then there's this other one that's based on Google Chrome, which is called Torch. I don't have the non-beta, non-alpha version of Firefox installed because they don't have a 64-bit version of that. They only have a 32-bit version of that. And obviously I don't have it pinned to my taskbar here, but I also have Internet Explorer, which obviously comes with Windows. But I don't use Internet Explorer, and I don't recommend other people to use Internet Explorer. I'm not going to get into, at this point, any of the differences in the different browsers. I will do videos that feature specific browsers and things unique to specific browsers. This video right now is going to be on sort of the generic things that are true for pretty much every browser that I use. Terminology and also how to search, because I know of people who aren't very good when it comes to searching the internet, and when they search for things because they don't really know how to search properly, they get all kinds of weird results, and they're not really efficient at searching. So what I've got opened right now is Google Chrome, because this is just sort of a generic thing, and this is a widely used browser. So when you start Google Chrome up, this is what you see. You have the start page here, home page, whatever you want to call it. Your tabs. This is again pretty common to all browsers now. And then you see this thing here that is called different things in different browsers, but you'll see a set of icons here. In some browsers you can actually pin as a choice icons here, and it's kind of like a what Opera, who originated this concept. It started out in Opera years ago. They called it the speed dial. But in Google Chrome, it's more the recently opened pages. You can't really pin like a bookmark to your tiles here. You can't do that yet. I wish you could in Google Chrome, but you can't. So just to show you in Opera what I'm talking about, just to show you the difference. So this is Opera, who originated this kind of concept, and you can see that these are the defaults in Opera, to where you have sites that are pinned here. You can add a site, and so I can add, for example, which ones do I already have? Because I don't want to add something I've already got. Okay, so I don't have Google, so I could add, for example, google.com, and you see google.com there. So it's just a way of quickly getting into some of your most used pages. So anyway, to come back to Google Chrome. So you have a speed dial feature, or kind of a quick launch sort of feature here in most of your browsers these days. You've got tabs up here, and you have a right click menu, where if you right click give a single right click and you have a right click menu that'll open up that gives you different features, that kind of thing. So this is pretty standard for most browsers. You have a search bar obviously up here. Google Chrome calls it an omnibar because it does a lot of different things besides just your search/address bar. In the old days, it was just an address bar. You couldn't really search from it at all. This is 20, 25 years ago. You couldn't search from it at all, and you had to actually type in the address. You'd type in http:// and then you see some of them already popping up right here, and you go www.google.com, and you hit enter, and it would take you to whatever page you were searching for. That's how it was done in the old days. You had to actually type in the HTTP and the whole thing. Now you can actually search from it too, and so you could just type in I don't know, toy trains, and you'd hit enter, and it would search for whatever you've set your default search engines for, and it would search that default search engine for toy trains. So now it's more than an address bar, it's also a search bar. In Google Chrome, I don't know about any of the others. Hell, why not try it in Opera? We can do 5 minus 5 equals 0. 5 plus 5 to the third equals. So you can see that it'll actually give you math answers. Who was the 30th president of the United States of America? I don't know if you return a... kind of depends on how you search it too, which we'll get into. Okay, so some things like that it doesn't give you an answer to, but it will do math. It will do 3 miles equals inches. It'll do conversions there in the search bar. And again, it'll do that in Google Chrome too. 3 miles equals inches, and you'll get a conversion right there in the quick results. So, without having to search it. So you have now, just to reiterate, you have a search bar that's also an address bar, or address bar that's also a search bar, depending on how you want to think of it. And it'll also give you quick answers to queried questions like math, conversions, that sort of thing. Most of the newer browsers, or I shouldn't say newer browsers, but most of the newer versions of browsers are taking your old style file menus that had been across the top here, like how I have it set in Firefox. Firefox will overload. You see you have the menu scrolling across the top. Most of them now are putting it into either a hamburger menu or something sort of like this, where you click a button and then it gives you the drop-down menu with all your options. Obviously Google Chrome does the hamburger menu, and that's how you get to your settings and things that you can change. This is pretty much standard for all browsers. That's what I'm talking about. It's just sort of things that you're going to find in pretty much any browser. Most browsers now have an option for you to create an account for the browser that will sync all of your passwords, your bookmarks, and things like that into this account, so that if you log in to this browser on a different computer anywhere in the world and you log into that account, it's going to pull your settings, your bookmarks, passwords, things like that into that browser, even if you're using it on a different computer from the one that you usually use it. And you can see that, Opera has that feature, synchronization. Firefox, if I open it up again, give it a minute, it has that. Google, Chrome has that. You can see where you can sign into Chrome. So Google Chrome has that. Firefox has that. You can see there where I'm synchronized there. So that's pretty standard too. So let's get into searching the internet. You can search from your search bar up here, which is going to search whatever your default search engine is. So how would you just choose your default search engine? You're going to go into your settings, and this again is true for pretty much any browser. You're going to go into settings, go into in Firefox's tools options. You see search, and you see different ones, and you can add one of your own if you choose to. Again, this is true for pretty much any search. Again, you can drop down, choose one. Would be one, but you can add one of your own. Yep, you can add another one of your own. Most these days, I think you're probably going to default to Google. I know Firefox, I think now wants to. Does it want to default to Bing or does it Yahoo? And I think that's different too, depending on whether you're using it on Linux or you're using it on Windows. So I'm not going to get into that much either. But you can choose your point is you can choose your default search engine. So anyway. And that's going to be what it's going to search. Whichever default search engine you've chosen is going to be what it's going to search up here. But there are myriad besides Google. You have obviously Google.com. That's the big one that most people are using. You've got Bing.com, which is I'm not really a fan, but You've got DuckDuckGo. Um, you've got obviously Yahoo.com. Um, there's all kinds of them, and one of the oldest ones, Lycos.com. This is one of the older ones. This even predates Yahoo and Google. So you've got myriad search engines. There's tons and tons of them out there. So let's go to a search engine. We're just going to use Google because that's what most people are familiar with. We're going to go to Google.com here. So this is the Google search engine, not the Google new tab page with all that. This is the actual Google search engine. This is where we're getting into the way that you're going to search the internet, okay? Because you want to be able to efficiently get good results. You want to, in other words, be able to find what you're actually looking for and cut as much of the crap out as you can, or even search results that aren't, shall we say, safe for work. You don't want adult pages coming up, adult pictures and things coming up. So there are do's and don'ts of searching that'll help you get what you actually want. First thing you want to do is you want to use as specific terms as possible. So you don't want to type in like if I type in Jaguar or Jaguar if you're British, and I type that in. Okay, these are the lists that this is what comes up in the list. Okay, so I get all kinds of things. I get the cars. I get a Wikipedia page that pops up, and I can see from the preview there that it's talking about the default anyway is that it's talking about the cat. if I actually go into Wikipedia, you'll also see that you can do the disambiguation where you can see cars and whatever else too. So, as you'll also notice too, if I left click, it's going to open that in this window. What I did was I right clicked and opened it in a new tab. That's my personal thing. That's how I tend to open things, particularly from searching, so they don't have to keep going back to the other page. I don't have to keep clicking the back button. I can just go back into the other tab. So what I do is I right click and go open a new tab. So if I wanted to search for something specific about Jaguar, I'm not just going to type in Jaguar. I'm going to type in Jaguar, say cat, if I'm wanting results specific to the cat. So now I don't have all of the things about the Jaguar cars. If I wanted to type in, if I wanted to know something specific, like if I wanted to know the average weight of a Jaguar, it actually comes up here in Google with the average weight, and it says 120 to 210 pounds for the adult. So the more specific, and this is just common sense, the more specific the term is that you enter, the better the search result is that you're going to get. The less stuff you have to filter through. Now, there are operators that you can use. Let me go back to the Google search page here. There are operators and things that you can use that will provide you with better results, more that will help you narrow your search. So there's quotations, there's the minus operator, there's the plus operator, tilde operator, the wildcard, which is an asterisk. There's ors, all kinds of operators and things that we can add into our search term to narrow the search. So obviously there's the wording that you use is key, but there's the minus operator. So if I were searching for, I'm trying to think of a search term here. If I were searching for like caterpillar, that's a good one that I have on my notes and all that. So if I were searching for, the other thing too to understand is that capitalization generally doesn't make any difference in search engines. If I search for this, I'm going to get the same results if I search for this, or if I even capitalize that C, same thing. So capitalization really doesn't make any difference one way or the other. So that's the one thing you need to understand. So you don't need to worry about capitalization. So if I search for caterpillar, I get cat, the tractors and everything. So if I use the minus operator, and I mean minus ink minus cat, I'm not going to, can even, again, capitalization doesn't make any difference, so I could not capitalize that at all if I wanted to be fast about it and didn't want to have to hit that shift key. And I hit that. You see the difference? I don't get the caterpillar tractors and all of that. I'm just getting the little creature. More results pertaining to the little creature. That's where the minus is useful. So if I was searching for Ford cars and I didn't want a particular model of Ford car, I would search for Ford. Again, I don't need to capitalize that. So Ford cars minus Taurus minus Mustang. Okay. So I'm not going to get results that pertain to that, or I shouldn't get as many results that would pertain to that. Some of them might fall under umbrellas. So likewise on that, if I was doing Um, if I was searching for something here and I wanted to be sure that a word is included, that it's specifically included, and I was searching for, if I type in beans and rice, okay, and I get these results, or if I type in tall and short, okay, I'm not necessarily going to get results that include both. I mean, I am here, but I'm not necessarily going to. So there's a way of doing this where beans plus and rice. So this is sort of the inverse of the minus operator that subtracts something out from your search results to exclude it. This is going to make sure that this is included. Everything after that plus is going to be included. So it's going to be sure that it's going to search for everything that has the and rice modifier in it. And you see that you're getting beans and rice. So it's the difference between searching like a list, like beans and rice, and beans and rice is in like beans and rice. The food, the dish. Okay, so this is just examples. You can see how you would apply this to other searches. So that's the plus modifier. There's also quotations. So I can do quotations. Will also make sure that that entire term is searched. Um, that's how you would get an exact phrase. So to give you an example there, I'm trying to think of like a general phrase, like um, let's think of a like a speech. So I'm looking for Churchill's speech. Okay, and I do get pretty good results on that. But if I wanted to be sure that the only thing that I didn't get mixed results, and sometimes this will happen. It's not happening here, but sometimes this will happen. You want to be sure that you don't get mixed results. You want to be sure that that entire phrase is searched for, so that you're going to get a better result, so that you're more likely to get whatever this thing is that you. This is good for song lyrics in particular. You can remember like 3 or 4 of the song lyrics strung together, but you don't know the name of. Um, so let's say I don't know the name of a song, and search. I just remember that lyric. Okay, so I'm getting this, but if I wanted to be sure that I'm getting the lyrics, I would put it in quotation marks, and then maybe add lyrics after that so that I can get the actual song lyrics and I can find out what the name of the song is. Okay, so that's an example of how you can combine things um, to get a better result. So by putting the phrase in quotation marks, I'm going to be sure that entire phrase, that entire exact phrase is searched. And then if I'm looking for something even more specific, I can type in a more specific term to modify the search even further to be sure that I get lyrics. So that's an example of that. Go back to the default page. Generally speaking, unless you put something in quotation marks, so unless I put that in quotation marks, the and is generally speaking going to be left off. I'm just again, these aren't the best searches to use for examples necessarily, but generally speaking, things like or, and the those kinds of things sometimes will be ignored. I know that a and the are often ignored. So like if I said, that's not necessarily going to return anything because it's going to ignore that a. But if I type in that, it may get me a more specific result. So some of these words like a, the, that kind of thing, if you're wanting that to be included in your search and you don't want that to be just dropped because search engines will tend to ignore things like that, you need to be sure that you include that in quotation marks. It's all put in quotation marks. So for example, searching that, or again, because capitalization doesn't matter, that is going to give me a much different result than if I search for or search like that, but in quotation marks. So you can kind of see the difference that quotation marks means, or to your search. You can see the difference that makes. You can use a tilde if you want a synonym. This is something I haven't done very often because I've never personally had any use for this. But if I search tilde and I did something like, I don't know, let's see, or tilde, see, this isn't really working too well because it's a really oddball modifier. I'm not sure. CSS should return. So that modifier is not really working well in Google. But what it should do is it should return synonyms. And so what will happen is CSS stands for cascading style sheets. And so what should happen is you should also get results for like style. So you should be like getting like clothes, that kind of thing. That modifier, the tilde synonym modifier, isn't really working too well in Google for some reason. And it could just be that it's so oddball that it's basically just been dropped. If we did an asterisk here and did a wildcard, and we said, actually, I think that comes after it, doesn't it? So if we did park, it gives me the wildcard, and basically what it does is it leaves it up to the search engine to decide how to search for that particular thing. It just kind of fills in the blank. So if I did, my notes here are saying to try amusement as an example. So if I did, yeah, and it comes up with these results versus, see the difference? So if I did amusement, then I did wildcard, and then I did space, and I did minus park, you are seeing how adding modifiers together, stringing modifiers together, is going to change your results. So I do a wildcard, I do amusement, but I don't want amusement parks, so I do minus park, and then it comes up with an entirely different set of results. Versus if I just Google search amusement, what that looks like. So it's a little different each time depending on what modifiers you use when you're stringing modifiers modifiers together. The OR operator is a pretty good one. If I was doing if I did let's say I did silver gold, okay, it's going to return pages that have both gold and silver. If I wanted OR, if I'm okay with an either or thing, I'm going to do silver. And this is a weird one. If you look on your keyboard under backspace, you're going to see a straight up and down line. I'll just type it on that key, and you'll also see that backslash key. Okay, so what you're going to do in order to type this symbol for OR is you're going to press and hold your shift key, and then hit that key there, and it does a straight up and down line, and then you space, and you do gold. Now it's going to look for either OR, and you see the difference in the search results there. You're going to find pages that, so if I wanted to, again, modify that search even further and do, I'm getting a lot of these price charts. Let's say I wanted to didn't want price. Okay. I'm now whittling the searches down even further, but I wanted to be sure that I included, say, atomic weight. See, I'm whittling the search results down the more of these modifiers I string together. So I'm making sure that I leave off price. I'm looking for atomic weight, and I'm okay finding the atomic weight of silver or gold, as opposed to silver and gold. So if I could do, if I got rid of that, it's going to find a totally different set of pages depending on what I do. So if I was doing, I get those results. If I do happy joy, if I do that, it's searching pages that have either of those as opposed to both of those words. So that's a useful modifier. Let's see. If I wanted a date range, I could do. I'm not sure if this term will work, but FY for fiscal year 2010 dot dot. I'm not sure if it's 3 or 2, but dot 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 2015, and it should search for, I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 ellipses, but you're searching for a date range or any kind of numerical range. So I could also do, say, Lord, let's just type in years, 19. And it's going to search for results within those years. But that's the coding that you would use for a numerical range. Is you would put like ellipses between them. You could do FY 2013, FY 2015. And that gives you a range too. And actually, I think that the comma may actually be a better way of searching because I'm getting better results, I think, from what I'm seeing using commas. So that'll give you the range that it's going to look between. I'm not sure if a dash will do the same thing. Dash seems to work, but you can do numerical ranges that way. You do have to be careful though, because obviously if I do 1940 minus 1945, it may return. See, it will do math for me, so I have to be careful. That's why I would say, if I were looking for years, I would probably use a comma instead of a minus, so that it won't think I'm asking it to do a mathematical operation. Just to go back to the standard google.com thing. Let's see. Websites. Okay, this is another useful one. So if I wanted to search a particular website for something, I could type in site. What is it doing? Stop. Stupid thing. So we're typing site, colon, and I may have to. No, you don't use a space, do you? So do site, colon, or do walmart.com, and I would search for, let's say, pillow. And it's going to search in Walmart's webpage for pillows. I could do site cnn.com, and then again, you don't use a space or anything there, because you have to string that together. So there's the site, you hit space, and then you enter the term that you're wanting to search in that site for. So do cnn.com, and I would do say NRA, and it would give me stories that are on cnn.com that pertain to the NRA. And you see how that works. So you can search within a site if you use the site colon modifier and then type in the site's URL or partial URL. Even you don't even need the whole, http colon www.cnn.com. You don't even need to enter the entire URL. You can even just enter that partial cnn.com there. But either one will work. And you can search within sites for a term. Same thing applies to the moderator aspect of it, that I can do CNN, search for the NRA, and I can enter in a minus mass shooting. So it'll look, or it'll try to look for, you're telling it to look on the CNN.com website for stories about the NRA that don't include mass shooting in the story. Okay. And you'll notice you're not seeing ones pop up that have those two words strung together. If I wanted to be sure that it didn't include either word, not necessarily just those two words strung together, but either word, I could do mass, minus mass and minus shooting, separate them. And now you're seeing that now you're not getting stories that include shooting or mass, either one, to be sure that you don't get any of it. And so when you would click that, you shouldn't see if you hit Ctrl F in your browser, which is another thing I needed to show. When you hit Ctrl F, you're going to press and hold the Control key and then hit F. That's what I mean when I say Ctrl F. When you hit Ctrl F, you're going to get somewhere in your browser any of these. If I go to Google here and I just do a Wikipedia. Let's just go to Wikipedia, because I just need to show you what Control F does in the different browsers. Same thing here. Let's get out of that. Let's go to Wikipedia. Okay. So I go to Wikipedia. So when I hit Ctrl F in any of these, you see what's happening? Comes up in different places, looks a little different in each one. But this is how you would search a document for something. Control F is just using the find feature. So in this one, I'm going to type in mass, and I'm not getting any result. I type in shooting, I don't get any result. So this worked properly. It found me an article on CNN that doesn't include the words mass or shooting. Go back. See? Now, just to go back into the others, just to show this Control F feature, up here I have my search box. It's find in page. It actually says right there, find in page. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go, let's look for a word I know that it's going to have. So let's do find Davis Cup. And there it is. So that's how you would find, and this works for any of them. And down here, it's in the bottom left. In Firefox, I'm going to do Davis Cup, and you see it look for that search term. So that's Control F in any browser does that. Let's see, is there any other thing that I need to include in terms of search modifiers? I don't think so. I can't think of any other search modifiers. To get into this right now, because this is also important, this is something that also pertains to all browsers. Anytime you're entering in passwords, and I could even do, I don't know what the Wells Fargo website is, but this is where it's really important. Or if I went to another one, let's do the same to an online shopping, banking, online shopping, anything like this. I am going to want to be sure that I see what. So look up here in the address. Okay, you'll see this with Facebook. Excuse me, just typed it. You'll see this with Facebook. Anytime you're logging in, anytime you're doing any kind of online banking, anytime you're doing any online shopping, like on Amazon, Wells Fargo, Facebook, anything like this, you are going to want to be absolutely certain that you see this up in the address bar: HTTPS : and a lot of times you'll even see this little lock symbol. So, and I'm going to show you. This is HTTPS here on Wikipedia, and you see the little lock symbol. Okay, so I see HTTPS, and I see the lock symbol. If I go in here to Wikipedia, HTTPS, I see the lock symbol. That's universal across browsers. Okay, and this is important. You want to be sure. Some sites that, like Wikipedia and all, it's fine that it has it. It doesn't necessarily need it on Wikipedia, but it does need it. You do need to have that anytime you're entering in any kind of personal information. Anytime you're entering in a password. You're logging into a site like Facebook or Amazon or your bank, your online banking. You need to be sure that it's HTTPS, because that tells you that it's a secure connection. If you don't see that, it could be a case where, and this does happen, nefarious people will create a sort of a front end that will look legitimate. It will look like, hot diggity, I'm getting ready to go on to Wells Fargo, or I'm getting ready to log into Amazon, or I'm getting ready to log into Facebook. But it won't necessarily, and it oftentimes won't have that. So, and you'll see if I try to get rid of that S, it won't even take me to a Facebook website that doesn't have HTTPS. But what people will do is it will create a domain where it'll be HTTP : / and it'll look the same. You go in and you enter in your password, your login, and you've just given somebody, a nefarious character, maybe say in Russia or whatever, your bank login information and all that. So they can go from there and they can steal your identity, they can raid your bank account, they can hijack check your Facebook page, whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you've just given them that information for them to do that. So you need to be sure that you see HTTPS : etc. etc. Because that's the valid URL, not HTTP. And look, see, that's the valid URL. So if there's another URL out there that's not HTTP, it's somebody that's trying to spoof it so they can get your information. They're doing something nefarious. So you need to be sure that you see HTTPS anytime you're logging in to anything. It should be HTTPS. I'm not going to get into too much terminology, but what that means is that's hypertext, or what is that? See, now I'm forgetting myself. HTTP meaning. Yeah, hypertext transfer protocol. That's just the protocol that's used for communications on the World Wide Web, basically. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but what the S stands for is secure. So it's the hypertext transfer protocol, secure. We don't need to get into that. It's kind of like URL. That whole address up here, this whole thing here is called the URL. So URL is the Uniform Resource Locator. It's kind of like your telephone number, basically. Just these are oversimplifications, but it's kind of like your telephone number. And within your URL, you have your domain. So this here's your domain. This here's your domain. This here would be your domain. We're searching on Google.com, but the rest of that isn't. We wouldn't include the rest of this in the domain. The domain is just the www.google.com part of it. We don't need to get into any of that. It's just extra information. But so you're going to look up here in the URL, and you're going to be sure that it's HTTPS. That's really the only things in terms of searching the internet that I think I really need to cover in this video. I've talked to you about using the different modifiers that you can do a more efficient search, and then I just hit on this because that's a security issue that's really important for people to understand about the HTTPS and how you want to be sure that anytime you're logging into something that it is HTTPS. Aside from that, I'm not really going to get into too much. I'm actually trying to think here as I'm talking about whether or not there's any other thing. Oh, actually there is. There is one other thing that I did forget. It's a search modifier, just as an afterthought. If I'm wanting to find web pages that are similar to another web page, I could do related : CNN.com, and I would hit enter, and it will find me pages that are similar to CNN.com. Some search results are gonna be better than others. If I tried YouTube.com, come on, YouTube.com. It should. Oh, that's why I forgot related. So it doesn't find anything for that. I think I need the www. Don't I? Okay, so it's not finding anything there for that. CNN. There you go. This is a better result. So I do related : www.cnn.com. It's going to find pages that are similar to that. So this is a better result, better example as well. It finds Fox News, NBC, CBS, Christian Science Monitor. It finds all these other news sites. So that's just another example of another search modifier, to where if you want to find pages that are similar to another page, you would do that. So I could do www.walmart.com, and it finds other shopping websites. That's a good way of finding alternatives to other things that you know about, to kind of, like if you were wanting to find other shopping websites or other news websites or whatever, it's a good way of finding things. So that's the only other thing really that I can think of off the top of my head. If I think of something later, then I'll shorter video to just hit something specific, but I think I'm pretty much done. In the coming days, at some point, I will get into these other browsers and talk about specific usage of individual browsers and kind of showcase individual browsers, because there are so many browsers out there, and each one has good things about it, and then that set it apart from others, and make it a little bit better in one or two respects than other browsers. And every single browser I've ever used also has little negative points that are things that, well, I don't like this about this browser as well as I like this other thing on this other. So there's kind of little pros and cons with each browser, and I'll showcase each browser at some point, give it its own video, and show how to use each browser and things that are unique about that browser that make it something that maybe you would be interested in. For example, just to pull two up, I've got Google Chrome here. I'll bring up Yandex. Might take it a second because I've got so many other things open. So open up Yandex, and you see that it has this nice background. It's animated. I can choose between backgrounds. Again, each of them animated, really beautiful animated. That's animated. I don't know if you can see it or not, but the water there is animated. You see, you have these basically looped pictures and backgrounds, and you can see that this is built on Google Chrome. If you go in here and you go into advanced and you do about Yandex, you see that it's based on blank Chromium, Opera Turbo, and other software. Chromium is the free software base that Google has for Google Chrome. So you see Chromium. So this is built on Google Chrome, but you see how different it is and how it looks and feels and functions and all that. This is one of those where you do have a kind of a speed dial on an Opera style that I showed you. Speed dial. You can't pin websites here in Chrome here to this main page that comes up. You can't put anything there. It'll show you recent pages you've opened, but you can't plug something in there to get to real easy. You can do that in here, so I can do add, and I have a choice from all of these websites. Like, let's say I wanted to just plop in Netflix. I can also search for other ones, obviously. I can search for something in my bookmarks or whatever, but I can plug that in, and I can drag that around, put it where I want it. I can get rid of it. So, you can see how there's things that are pluses and minuses between each of these browsers, and I'll get into showcasing each browser and things that I like about each one and things that I don't like about each one, and I'll give each browser its own dedicated video, and that's something that I'll do in the coming days, weeks, whatever. But for now, I just wanted to get into how to search and a little bit of the terminology about the URL and all of that, just because I wanted to make sure that people understand HTTPS and all of that. So anyway, hopefully this will help some people search the internet a little bit better and make people aware that there's modifiers and things that they can use that will help them narrow their searches down and be a little bit more specific in the results, so that they don't have to spend as much time hunting around for things, and they can do whatever it is that they need to do, find whatever it is that they need to find a lot quicker, because they can now use modifiers to find things faster. How long was this video?